Welcome to another week of our lessons learned and having conversations with our security awareness community. This week, I'm really excited to host Ohad Zaidenberg. Ohad, if you would please just share a little bit about yourself and we'll just get going on the conversation of awareness from a security researcher's perspective.
Sure. Hello everyone. Really happy that you join us today. My name is Ohad Zaidenberg. I'm a senior security researcher from Israel. In my current position, I'm leading the cyber threat intelligence capabilities at the company Anheuser-Busch InBev. It's the large brewer in the world. In most cases, people ask me in these interviews, what is the connection between cybersecurity and the beer industry? And I think it's
Right.
a fertile ground to start speaking about what we are going to speak
Mhm.
today. Other than my position at AB InBev, I also was the lead cyber intelligence researcher, managed all the intelligence aspects of a small company from Israel that made such a large impact in the world named Clear Sky Cybersecurity. And I established with three more founders the CTI League. It's a
Uh-huh.
non-profit organization based in the US, but worldwide operated that protects and make the cyber domain safer for the medical sector and the life-saving organization with the focus on hospitals.
Great.
And I focus in my private research about the connection between influence operation or influence-based operations and cybersecurity. How
Mhm.
threat actors can utilize cyber attacks to not only affect the organization itself, affect more motivations and interests like making political gain, for profit, even for memes and funny aspects. This is something that a lot of threat actors do. So
Mm.
I try to find the connection between these artifacts and the cyber attacks, the technological aspects.
Wow, so you're really looking at like the human psychology of it, right? You're having to find those connections as well.
I've
If
thought
you're
about it a lot of time. If I'm a psychologist of threat actors, or if I just the same as them, like I think like an adversary, think like a malicious actor, but I utilize and leverage my skills and my
Mhm.
research focus to defend and not to cause harm in the world. So I think that
Right.
until 2 years ago, before I had a conversation with a colleague of mine named Roy Sherman, also worked for AB InBev, I thought that I'm part of a blue team. I'm part of the team that need to protect the organization.
Uh-huh.
And I understood that my thinking is not blue team. I not think as a defender. I think, first of all, why the adversary or the threat actor executed the attack, how they
Mhm.
do it, not focus on tools only, but focus on the mindset and the motivation of them with the understanding that intelligence for me it's the main aspect and cybersecurity is a way to express intelligence. It's same as the
Mm.
defense sector, same as the other aspects of intelligence. I just use my skills in intelligence and things that I want to learn more and be, I don't like the word expert, but to have an expertise in it
Mhm.
is intelligence and how to make
Right.
impact to personal and to individuals and to organizations with cyber threat intelligence.
Right. Well, it's kind of interesting because you know, you're having to think offensively, right? And how they would attack you so that you can then turn around and use it as a defense. And really, in security awareness, that's what we're trying to create for
Mm-hmm.
that kind of awareness for our regular employees, right? And that's not an easy thing if you're not used to thinking that naturally, right? We're not used to thinking so
Mm-hmm.
offensively in our
Yeah, I
everyday
had a
actions.
conversation 2 years ago with someone that is really prominent in the cybersecurity industry in the worldwide. And he arrived to Israel. He made some meetup, and he asked me a question that still remain in my thought for a long time. He asked me why Israeli people, for example, less feel that are liable to protect themselves. And he said, we know that Israel is a superpower in cybersecurity, but we see so many attacks that the attacker succeed to gain their targets in the attack. So why is that happening? And I think that in our country, for example, a lot of people give the liability of protecting the country itself as a whole to the cyber authority, the NDC, or to some other organizations like A200, the intelligence unit, or the Mossad, or the Shin Bet. And in some cases, people don't understand their role in protecting themselves and the organization, because it's not only the organization that as a legal entity that protect them and the employees won't be affected. We are in another game now. I want to start the story with another threat actor that awareness program against this threat actor for individuals within the organization. It's very hard, but what this threat actor did, this threat actor named Black Hat, they give themselves a name, which I found very funny. Before that, it was a game of choosing name for threat actors. I personally gave a name for a threat actor with the company that have been through, Clear Sky. We decided to call the threat actor from Iran Fox Kitten. But now we saw that when they choose, the same threat actor chose a public name, they use the name pay to key. And I want to focus about the story of Black Cat. What they did a few weeks ago is to exfiltrate an organization, enter it, extract a lot of data. They gain many information about the employees of the company, about people that made some businesses with the company, individuals. And as a leverage for the negotiation with the company, they published the information about all the employees of the organization online in a ClearNet website. Anyone could reach it. And they urged the people from the organization to call their managers to pay to the ransomware. So this is something that we have to realize now. It's not only about the company. It's not attacking the legal entity named, for example, LinkedIn, the place that we are broadcasting it. It's another game. It's a game to also focus on influencing individuals. In a lot of cases, it's the human factor that make it the attack succeeded, or make the attack even be something that the attacker can act, because the organization can be very good in security and they can build so many walls to protect the organization, but we need only one insider that enter the attacker into the organization. And in some cases, that's the only thing that the attacker needed, a way to enter the organization, since then they know what to do with it. So, for example, people don't understand some threat actors focus on them, on the employees, in order to get to the entire organization. I don't think that people from the organization, employees, are liable and need to get punished because they fall for a phishing campaign. But if we want to make a secure place for the place that we work for, and we believe in the mission, for example, that the organization set, we need to protect it in some case. So I think that with awareness, we can make huge impact and protect more and more people. We have to think that it's not, a lot of people told me that are not from the cyber industry, friends of mine told me, and if someone would breach my credit card or steal my credit card number, so what would happen? I have insurance about the money, but it's not only a game of death, because
Right.
with you, they can leverage and they can jump to another people. We know that, for example, so many threat actors from Russia, ransom organization that want to get into the organization, encrypt all the files, and make the organization not able to conduct their activities. If it happens against hospitals, and it happened so many times in the last 3 years, we see them really make effect on the organization. And we need to ask ourselves how we can be pioneers and how we can be in the front line of protection, even if we have zero tools and zero capabilities to protect the organization. We can make the impact. And I think that this is a story that everyone need to learn more. How can I be
Yeah.
a target? Why should I be a target? Because anyone can be a target. And how can I defend and face this attack?
Right. No, I think, and that's the challenge, right? Trying to help employees understand that it's not just about, oh, your credit card gets compromised and then they, okay, you just go to insurance and you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's about getting that foothold, right? They're being used as pawns, like it's a literal chess game of being used as
Indeed.
pawns, not because they're interested in the pawn, but because they're interested, again, trying to get to the king. And they're just using, shifting people around. I think it's really fascinating that I think a lot of people don't have awareness yet, um, how how the threat actors will take. and publish, the names, and then put pressure on the employees to say, now put pressure on your boss to pay up.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I think
I want
that's
to give an
why.
example for why is that so important. And I know that a lot of people won't be able to affiliate with this story, but this is something that happened in Israel. And I
Uh-huh.
really like the story because I take it out from cybersecurity and then return into cybersecurity, but it's the same game. So in
Please.
Israel, we face Hamas. It's an organization based mainly in Gaza. And in 2001, they started to launch missiles against Israel. It was around 10 or 9 years that Israel didn't know what to do with this threat. So Israel developed the Iron Dome and kind of succeeded to overcome this missile threat because it's not the same threat it was before. If we can just destroy the missiles when they are on the air, less people are affected. And Hamas developed and they keep progress and establish more and more and more missiles. But then after 2014 war, before 2014 war, I'm sorry, they moved to another way to act, another modus operandi, and launched the terror tunnel. After Israel succeeded to overcome this threat again with technological aspect, they did develop
Right.
themselves and they start using balloons that connect to a fire and then burn a lot of fields. In that
Right.
case, Israel didn't have a way to defend because it's so I don't have another word than stupid stupid armor because
Right.
no one can really defend on that. You can't just launch a missile against a balloon. You need to some
Right.
way prevent it. So a lot of threat actors use the same thing. They did develop themselves because they saw that when they got really sophisticated, people keep developing some products to defend it. But now,
Right.
when they did develop, let's take one of the succeeded campaign in 2021 and 2022, the job searching campaigns. A lot of threat actors worldwide do it. They
Mm.
call people, they send messages on LinkedIn for legitimate users, not before they build really reliable profile. They
Mm-hmm.
put some profile photo, and in some cases, if they want to get to URL, they would invite all your friends first, all your first and second cycle as a friend to make a connection on LinkedIn. After they
Right.
gain the reliability that they need and make sure that they look very authentic, they reach out to you. And they said,
Right.
I am HR for a company named Boeing, for example, true story that happened by a threat actor from North Korea. So
Well.
they reach to people and say, "Hey, I'm a recruiter from Boeing. I want to start to start the process with position that it fits for you the most. Let's talk about it." So at first they moved to talk on phone. So after LinkedIn, they moved to another platform which is phone number. They talk on WhatsApp. The people that talked with them, the victims or the targets, depends on how you want to look at it, they talk with them for a long days. So it was around between, if I remember correctly, between 7 to 12 days per candidate per target. After they convince the target that they are the real thing, they send them some example about the position. So what are the requirements of the position? And they send it via file. They learned when they speak with the victim, they learned the routine of the victim. They learn when this victim is at work and when this victim is at home. So it
Wow.
was really successful because they need to, when we work remotely, the attacker need to make sure that we are at the office and not at home. After that, they send
Right.
a
Right.
legitimate file, truly legitimate file with some details about the position, and
Uh-huh.
and then when the victim would open this document, he would get one page with details about the position and two blank pages. The victim that want to read about the position would reach out to the attacker and say, "Hey, I can't see it, I have two blank pages." Only then, after all this long process, the attacker would send a file, executable file, software basically, for the non-technical people that listen to us, and make them please open this specific PDF file with the software that I gave you. When they would
Wow.
open it, it's just they would
It's
get
done.
infected. This is
Wow.
very, very, very sophisticated. Let's reduce it. We have a campaign named a fake call center phishing. People send emails without any malicious link. Looks absolutely legitimate to people that they want to attack,
Right.
and they urge them to connect with someone on LinkedIn, to call to a fake call center, to get into a blog, something that is not malicious. They convince them to install RMM backdoor, which means absolutely legitimate software like AnyDesk, for example, or TeamViewer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of people know these softwares. These are legitimate software. When they installed it in your computer, you give them the access. So I'm not saying that the liability to protect them that or detect that is on the people that work for the company. First,
Mm-hmm.
we need awarenesses campaign
Right.
internally within the
Right.
organization by the compliance team, the awareness team, the cyber threat intelligence team. It doesn't matter who is in charge of that, but we need to make it happen. We need to all the
Right.
time tell people what are the risks. I think that a lot of organizations now just don't tell the right risk, and when they do awareness campaign, it's just a generic email that no one read. We need to make
Right.
something that's more comprehensive and do
Right.
it with the business impact. So if the business would be impacted from the attack, it would affect the ability of people of the business to pay, for example, or to be operated. But
Right.
if it's for personal information, for example, some attackers that want only to embarrass the country that you live in, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
Israel, the US, some European countries, they do it. So they can get your account, use your account as a mule to attack another one, exfiltrate information, embarrass you, and just you be a pawn, as you said, in a war that you are not part of it.
Right. Wow, it's really incredible. And you were talking about not putting the liability on the individual employees, but there is liability, right, as a company. Even if it was the employee that was the one that did the oops, even if they, because you talk about how in depth, right? Anybody can make a mistake. Anybody can be distracted
Indeed,
because they're in
indeed.
a hurry or whatever, and they're just, and the message sounds so familiar that they just click or they download without stopping. But that at the end of the day, the company is still liable. Um,
Mhm. I'll tell you a
so
story
you,
about how anyone can fall for a phishing campaign. So a few months ago, I traveled abroad, and while in my absence, I didn't pay the electricity bill, and I paid it only when I returned to Israel. It was 2 days late. So
uh-huh.
the electricity in Israel, the electricity company sent a warning message to my box, and I only found it on Thursday night when I returned from work, and I saw that and just try to understand what happened, if something is missing, if I need to
Mhm.
pay, and I understood that it's just a generic email that they sent. But after
Right.
that, around I don't know 20 minutes after, I got a malicious SMS that said that I didn't pay my bills. So I entered the link. After that, a few seconds after, I understood, wait, this is not the right link to press, and I know that I paid the bill. But this
Hmm.
coincidence made me press on a phishing link. So if for me
Right.
that I consider myself someone that saw many types of phishing campaign can fall, anyone can fall. It's the question of
Right.
understanding at some point that you fell for phishing or fell for an attack, if you can do it. With awareness, we can be more aware for these attacks to happen, and maybe prevent it before it happened, or maybe understand that I fall for a campaign, what I do now, who to reach out in the organization or in the authorities. If we don't have the team internally, if it's a non-profit, for example, we know that there is a threat actor from Hezbollah, from Lebanon, the organization there, that attacked many non-profit organizations worldwide, especially in Israel. In that case, the people should be aware of this attack and know who to reach out for. In that case, the NDC, of course, they have the liability to protect these organizations.
Wow. So Let's talk a little bit about nonprofits.
Sure.
You have your own nonprofit that you mentioned that helps to protect medical facilities. Um, Now, I would assume that nonprofits would have even less awareness than your typical organization. So,
Indeed.
like, kind of what started you in in creating the CTI League, and what have you learned? What have you seen in helping with nonprofits and working with them?
So I didn't consider myself as an interpreter before, but now I do. And it was February 2020 that I started to see, January, February, that I started to see a peak in the attacks against hospitals. And I understood that if this unknown virus back then, so often to say it right now, because when I said it 2 years ago, it was very relevant. So this
Right.
unknown virus, COVID-19, happened, I said it would be life and death game if some hospital would be encrypted. Unfortunately, I know that unlike the impact that we've made for hospitals, threat actors kept attack hospitals worldwide. In October 27, 2020, it was, I think, 6 or 7 months after COVID started in the US. Some threat actor named Ryuk, back then that was their name, attacked around, I don't know, 100 hospitals. It was more or less like that because the official publication was less, only a few dozens, but in the Conti chat that was exposed, didn't threat actor real name until a few weeks ago. So some Ukrainian researcher, very interesting story, you can check it out on Twitter mainly, exploited their chat and started to breach and shared many conversations. So they claimed for 400 hospitals. And they attacked all at once. In Israel, we had another attack against Hillel Yaffe Hospital, one hospital in Israel. And I understood that if we won't supply them information anyway, in if we don't find any way to expand their defender capabilities and to support them while attack is happening and to prevent attacks against these hospitals, something very bad is going to happen and someone would die. So I can't confirm that someone died because of a ransomware, someone that they closed the monitor and died because that never published. But we saw so many people got delayed in medical treatment. We saw people that pointed to another hospital as a story that happened in Germany. And we saw
Right.
Iran, for example, a letter to Iran attack mentally ill, I think, children hospital, and something very, very bad. So I wanted to do something. I understood that it can't be one company game. It should be the entire
Right.
industry that gather together and say, hey, we have shared mission, let's do something. Let's start expanding our knowledge on that. And we use threat intelligence, cyber threat intelligence, to protect more organizations. Now we think about how to keep the CTI League, how to make a reform on that. So stay tuned for updates in the next few months. It was really hard to make the shift from organizations that really focus on COVID to organizations, sustainable organizations that can stay for the long term and make the impact for the organization with like of sources, of course, and we didn't even raise a single penny. But this is what brought me to be part of that because I understood that we need to protect hospitals somehow. So if the organization, the hospital, have great capabilities to face attacks, let's give them more information, more tools to protect. But if the organization has nothing and only, just manage the network, let's do whatever we can to expand their knowledge with the lack of resources that they have to make the impact. Let's do something. I couldn't stay on the fence, and I can't sit on the fence now when I see so many things, bad things happening. When
Right.
it's go to a non-profit for-profit organization so they can protect themselves, when it goes against a country organization, so it's a kind of a fair game because people understand that we are in kind of warfare. But when it
Hmm.
goes to hospitals, I can't stay silent. I'm sorry. This is not
Yeah.
something that you do. It's against any military law.
Yeah. No. So you provide support, you provide resources, and you provide like just kind of information sharing of this is going
Yeah,
on. Do
it
do
was.
organizations have to join the CTI to get the support, or
Yes,
do you?
yes. We had some hospitals that joined it first. We had a lot of authorities. CISA from the US supported full time the CTI League, and it was amazing. Even Christopher Krebs, the former CISA director, even endorsed the CTI League
Wow.
publicly. We had so many connections with, for example, the Thai cert and the Polish cert and the Norway cert, even Faroe Islands cert. Some amazing people worldwide that believe in the mission of
Hmm.
making safer cyber science for non-profit organizations or for the medical sector, and want to do some impact in the world. I think that if we have the information already, why don't we share it? Because these
Right.
organizations would not pay. They would not. They don't have money. In
Right.
cybersecurity, you have same as barcode that you have on any Coca-Cola can, for example. We have the barcode
Hmm.
that it's symbolize the same product. So we have it the
Hmm.
same thing as files. We have very sophisticated way to manage files, blocking in the organization. So if you remember the story of North Korea, if they would send you the malicious file that I've mentioned, you would be able
Uh-huh.
to prevent it and block it before the user download it.
Hmm.
So I talked with a CISO, some security manager of some hospital in Israel and in Europe, and I told them that I want to send them indicators, the barcode that I'm speaking about. And they told me,
Okay.
we don't have any system. If you can send us block and allow list, we can put it in the firewall, but that's it. So let's do it. Let's do something. I think that in a lot of cases, people think about cybersecurity as a whole, as some strategy that you need to develop for years before you even implement it. Start somewhere. Expand
Right.
the expand your capabilities. Put more walls. Invest in cyber threat intelligence, because if you read free blogs online, there are so many blogs out there. You can go into, for example, the company that I worked for, Clear Sky, and see so many blogs that this company
Hmm.
shared about some threat actors in the Middle East. Or you have so many, just wrote APT 29, for example, and you find hundreds of articles.
Right.
Keep reading it with social engineering attacks. For example, Charm Kitten is an Iranian threat actor
Yeah.
that do it. We have Conti that do it from the ransomware world. We have Lazarus that did it in North Korea. We have all of them. If you invest in learning the tactics, the techniques, and the procedures, you don't need to be technical. You don't need to analyze any file. Just understand that you get a mail that from someone that you didn't understand why he sent you the mail, or you didn't expect to this email, or this is the first time that
Right.
you hear about a service that you bought.
Right.
Take a look on the email address, because in most cases, if you look only short glance on the email address, you will see that it's something differently. You will see that
Right.
the email wasn't sent from Google or Gmail or the company, I don't know, Twitter or LinkedIn. It was sent from some breached university in Pakistan, for example. That the
Right.
attacker breached it and used it as a way to distribute their messages.
Right. Right. I was going to ask for some like takeaways or tips that you would recommend to nonprofits and healthcare centers specifically, but I think you just covered it, talking about just do one more thing, right? You don't have to
Mhm,
start with the whole plan. Every layer that you can add, will,
mhm.
fortify
Yes.
and be that much more protection.
I'll give some
I think.
tips. In my opinion, the first one is know what the cyber authority in your country is. So, for example, if
Mm,
you are in the US, you can use CISA. If you're in Israel, you can use the INDC. If you're in Thailand, you can use the Thai cert that I really admire because they made some amazing job during COVID, and they collaborated so amazingly that it's warmed my heart so much. So know what is your authority. Then enter their website. CISA, for example, have amazing website how to fight ransomware. What are the
mhm,
threats? So you don't need to read the technical line, but just learn the most updated techniques. If you are individual that want to learn more, just write social engineering campaign or cyber social engineering campaign on Google. Find some articles by famous company like FireEye, Mandiant, CrowdStrike. I can give a name dropping of a lot of companies and learn, see yourself the phishing email. Once you understand that this email is phishing or how designated phishing email looks like, you would be more secure. I'm not saying that you won't fall for phishing. As I told story about
Right.
myself, it was a coincidence that made me to press on a link. I didn't fall for the phishing
Right.
because I realized very fast, but anyone can do it. But when you are more aware, you are more secure. You don't need
Hmm.
any, at first, you don't need any tool to do it. After that,
Right.
if you want to expand your capabilities and to secure your organization, so go into CISO website, for example, or any vendor, and start reading their recommendations. The MSTIC by Microsoft and Google Tag,
Hmm.
for example, shared many ways to protect from cyber attacks. Start somewhere. Don't
Right.
wait and develop things forever and then you get attacked.
Right.
Understand this is a real threat. This is a real threat and anyone can be attacked. And then start to understand who can attack me and how can I get protected from this threat.
Right. Those are
It's not
great tips.
technical. It's not
Yeah.
technical. It's absolutely not technical. It's just identifying that you are under risk, that you can be targeted, and what can you do with it.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. We're right at time. So I will let you go on to your next meeting I'm sure you have. But for those who are watching, we do have a security awareness manager community. We'd love for you to join and be a part. It's a place to crowdsource and to have conversations. And we have weekly meetups, and we'd love to see you there. Thank you, Ohad, so much for your insights and your feedback. There's a lot of great information. And please connect with him if you're interested in the CTI League.
Thank you, Ayala. Thank you so much. And it was really
Thank you.
great to meet you last week in B-Sides Tel Aviv. And since the friendship that we made, we are here to raise awareness and to make some impact together. So I'm really happy about these connections happening, to see the community take action. Thank you
I am
for all
too.
the things you work, all the things you do for awareness. It's so important. I really appreciate
Thank
all the
you.
things you do.
Thank you. All right. I look forward to working together more.
Thank you, Ayala.